Well, I'm delighted to be joined now by one of those MPs leading the charge for cheaper energy bills. Lee Anderson is the Conservative MP for Ashfield, and welcome to the programme. So, first of all, these two twin measures, getting rid of the green subsidies and abolishing VAT on energy bills, how much money would that actually save a consumer?
Well, you've got to realise, Tom, this is, we've got to a situation. It's not happened overnight. It's happened over many years, COVID aside, and it's not a quick fix. This is a short-term measure, if you like. That's what I think, anyway, to help people immediately to overcome their gas bills. Now, I would say it's up to it depends how much fuel you use, I suppose, in a year. But any saving is a saving for the people of Ashfield. I'm speaking to them on a daily basis who tell me now that that their gas companies have changed. This is because of the price cap. They've changed. They started with British Gas. They've gone to a smaller company. And then, hey, presto, 6 months later, a year later, they end up back with British Gas again. And the bills have gone up. So that's not a good position that we're in. But like I say, the environmental levy, if you like, and the VAT will make a decent saving. But then we've got to decide on what we do as a party, as a government, to make sure that fuel, domestic fuel, is more affordable in the future. And that's the real problem we face.
Would you agree with your colleague John Redwood's call this morning to start exploring our own natural gas resources in the UK? Of course, the EU has just declared natural gas as somewhat of a green fuel. They'll be importing it from Russia, but we do have big reserves under our country. Would you support hydraulic fracturing to get that gas out and lower bills potentially in the medium term?
Yes, would Tom. I mean, I come from a red wall seat. We're what I class as like dirty towns, really. We're brought up on coal mining, big industry, and we have this in our DNA. And you look over the pond in the US, they're fracking. Their shale gas is a fraction of the cost for domestic users as what gas is in this country. We're importing gas from Norway, from around the world, or from around Europe, should I say. And it's costing us an absolute fortune. Look, we've closed all our coal mines. We're reluctant to frack. We're reluctant to get oil out the North Sea. And guess what's happened? It's not rocket science. Our gas prices are going up. And we are now a hostage to other countries who are supplying our energy. It's absolute madness.
Now, Russia has clearly exacerbated this energy crisis in Europe in particular, putting pressure on Germany and others to try and approve this Nord Stream 2 pipeline. To what extent is a lot of this out of our control as a country, if we're really at the beck and call of these global forces, and particularly as the beck and call as to whether Mr. Putin likes us very much?
Well, you're right, Tom. It is out of our control. But what is in our control is domestic production. I see no reason now. The pandemic, we're coming out of the pandemic. It's brought it to our attention more. And people are going to notice more and be more vocal once they get their next bills in February, March time, once they're seeing extra cash on there. So now we have to have the debate. Shall we explore, like you said, fracking, extra oil production, make sure that we have to be self-sufficient in this country. And I think in the past, what we've done is we've put the cart before the horse. Like I say, shut all our pits. We've stopped, we're slowing down oil production. We're very reluctant, whilst we're on this green journey, to explore fossil fuels more in this country. And as a result of that, the poorer people in my community are going to be paying through the nose, and that's unacceptable.
Now, of course, we did host COP26 in Glasgow in November. There was an agreement that was reached by the whole world. There are many measures within that agreement, and generally, the British public, according to most polls, seem to be relatively supportive of trying to reach net zero by 2050. They think it's an admirable goal, and certainly the Prime Minister seems to think that as well. Do you agree with him?
Yeah, I think it's admirable. And, I've done some polling in my own constituency. And when you ask people the question, 95% of people agree with what government's trying to achieve. But what they don't agree with, Tom, is how we're doing it. Whilst we're transitioning, we should be sensible. Fossil fuels, nobody wants to use fossil fuels, but they should be seen now as a necessary evil while we transition over the next 30, 40, 50 years, however long it's going to take. So let's use them. Let's get them out of the ground in this country. Let's use them while we're transitioning, and hopefully we can have a sensible energy policy where people can actually afford to heat their homes.
Interesting point there. I wonder, just finally, how receptive do you think the government is to this push? Obviously, a number of former ministers are behind this campaign as well, Red Wall MPs like yourself. Is the government listening?
I hope so, Tom. I mean, I've done a little bit of polling this morning on one of my private social media groups, and 90% of the people are saying that they would agree to fracking and fossil fuels in the short term whilst we transition to bring energy bills down. Now, it's all right for MPs like me. I'm earning 80 odd grand. That's a little bit less than what you're earning a year, Tom. I can afford to pay my gas bill and my electric bill. You know, I get my transport paid to and from London every week, so I'm comfortable. But I've been that person in Ashfield who's been on minimum wage with a couple of kids on my own and had that prepayment meter. And I know what it's like to put a fiver's worth of gas in on a Sunday night and be watching that meter all week long.
Well, Lee Anderson, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Just one thing, Tom,
really
before you go.
Important point. Yes.
Just one thing before you go. Fasten your button up, young man, and put a tie on.
Oh, you know what? My boss will absolutely love you for saying that. Absolutely. Well, Lee Anderson, we always appreciate your straight talking here. Do you know what? Write in to gbviews at gbnews.uk if you agree with Lee. Let's find out what the audience thinks.